we are going to start the chapter, that is equilibrium. And before I start the chapter, let me briefly, I'll run through how to access the revision notes and test in classix.com. If you click on practice, we have different packages available here. Since we are doing with NEET now, let us go to NEET Premium. And here we are having test for different subjects and one full test that is for NEET complete syllabus. In NEET full test, we have two sections. One, a test series which is prepared by Classix Tutor, and the other one that is your past papers. And at the top we have the revision notes. So once we click on the revision notes, it opens in a new tab, which I have already opened it since it takes little time. Let us start the session with our chapter equilibrium. So what do we understand by the term equilibrium? So equilibrium is nothing but we can say it is a state of process in which the properties like our temperature, pressure and concentration, etc. of the system is going to, or they do not show any change in passage of time. So when we say equilibrium, basically we can say that it is a state when forces from both the side becomes equal. It is a state when forces from both the side become equal. In terms of chemistry, when we talk, equilibrium is nothing but the position or the state, you can say, where the rate of forward reaction becomes equal to the rate of backward reaction. That is, the speed or the rate of the reaction becomes equal at that particular moment. So when we say rate of forward reaction becomes equal to the rate of backward reaction, we should understand that when, or we can also say that it is a state when the concentration of the reactant becomes equal to the concentration of the product. Both the way we can consider it. And when we are talking about equilibrium, we should know what are all the types of equilibrium. When we are talking about equilibrium, we should talk about what are all the different types of equilibrium. So when I say types of equilibrium, possibilities are there. It can attain the state of physical equilibrium as well as your chemical equilibrium, or we also use the term ionic equilibrium. So when I say physical equilibrium, it is nothing but physical process. So it should be achieved in physical process. That is, whenever we talk about all the state variables, that is like your pressure, temperature, etc., they become constant. How can we say that that is a different state? We can say, like, for example, we say solid gets converted to liquid, liquid changing to gases, and solid to gas, different conversions of the state, that we say it as our physical equilibrium, where you can even talk about the boiling point, melting point, and so on. And when we are talking about your equilibrium where we are having dissolution of solid, also we can say. So when we say dissolution of solids, what do we say in that? When any solid is going to dissolve in a liquid, it is called as dissolution. And the most important part of this chapter, that is equilibrium, is the law of mass action. What do we say in law of mass action? That is, the rate at which a substance reacts is proportional to its active mass, and the rate of a chemical reaction is proportional to the product. So when I say law of mass action. Rate of a reaction is directly proportional to the concentration of the reactant raised to their respective moles. Concentration of the reactant raised to their respective moles. For example, if I say this, let us consider this as a chemical reaction. So obviously the rate will become directly proportional to the concentration of the reactant which is raised to their respective moles. So this we are going to consider it as the mole, and this is the reactant. So reactant raised to the concentration. So R is directly proportional to A to the power of, that is A to the power of A. So that is applicable to both reactant A as well as B, or we can say the product, because what is it? It is proportional to the product of the active mass of the reactant, and it is also so we are talking here about both the reactant and the product. That is what we say it as a law of mass action. And when we talk about equilibrium chapter, before we enter in detail to the chapter, it is very important to note that it has a weightage of around 5% in the exam. Hence, it is very important to learn. It is very important to learn the chapter. And there we have, and when we are talking about equilibrium constant, what is the dependency? That is, we take the equilibrium concentration or the constant value to be K. And when K is the equilibrium constant, when we are considering, we should consider what are all the factors it will depend. Value of K depends upon the temperature, and it is very important to note that it is independent of the concentration of the reactant. Characteristic, it is very important to note that it is independent of the concentration of the reactant or product. And when we say equilibrium, that means rate of forward will be equal to rate of reverse. And yes, it is also important to note that catalyst will not affect the equilibrium, and concentration of the reactant and products becomes equal at the equilibrium. So when we talk about K, that is equilibrium constant, it is very important to note that what are all the factors on which our K value depends and what are all the factors on which K value does not depend. Because when we are doing the questions, it is not necessary that we need to solve the questions, or we need to, based on looking at the option, if we know the characteristics, we could easily answer the question. Effect of temperature, how we are going to relate it to K. When we say K, it is Kf by Kb. Now, if the suppose if we say the temperature is increased, that means the rate of reaction will also increase. So directly we could say that temperature is going to have direct relationship with the rate of the reaction. When temperature increases, rate of reaction also increases. So simple, we could conclude that temperature is directly proportional to the rate of reaction. And for any endothermic reaction, K will increase, or if Kf is less than Kb, that means K decreases. For endothermic reaction, Kf will be greater than Kb, and from that we could understand that K is going to increase because your numerator value will increase. And when we say exothermic, it is K decreases. So it is very important to note the properties of your rate constant. And when we talk about chemical equilibrium, chemical, as we said, there are two types of equilibrium. One is physical and the other is chemical. So when we say chemical equilibrium, we are having two types of equilibrium, that is homogeneous and heterogeneous. Homogeneous, when we are having reactant and product are in the same phase, and heterogeneous, reactant and product will be in different phase. Reactant and product will be in different phase. That is very important to note, that the reactant and product will be in different phase. So we could conclude that basically the equilibrium state is dynamic and it is not static. We could conclude from that, or we could infer from it, that the equilibrium state is dynamic and it is not static. And when we talk about, that is static in nature, and when we are saying that a reaction is said to have attained equilibrium, what we say, that rate of your forward reaction equals the backward reaction. So when we are talking about here, if we relate your homogeneous and heterogeneous, that is K is applicable only when the concentration of the reactant is equal to the concentration of the product. But yes, of course, it will be independent of the initial concentration of the reactant. It's very important to note, it is independent of the initial concentration of the reactant. And equilibrium constant will have a definite value for each reaction. And this value, you can say, it will remain same till the time temperature remains constant. And for reversible reaction, it also, that is K value will also reverse, and value of K is independent of catalyst. Value of K, it is independent of catalyst. And when we talk about what are all the applications of our, or where all, when we study value of K, or when we are learning the equations of K, why is it important to learn? Why we are using, where all we are able to use that? So whenever we are, that is application, predicting the extent of reaction. When we say K value, it is helpful in predicting the extent of the chemical reaction. So the equilibrium constant, we can say it is directly proportional to the extent of the reaction. It is directly proportional to the extent of the reaction. And when we say value of K, that is how we are able to predict the extent of reaction. Value of K will be large, then we could say that it is forward direction. We could say that it is forward direction. And when we say K is less, it is backward direction. When the value of K is less, it is backward direction. So K is less, it is backward direction, and hence they are predicting certain value of K, based on which we are able to decide that whether the reaction, or based on the K value when we calculate, we are able to predict the reaction status. If I say K is greater than 10 to the power of 3 value, we could say that the reaction is going to reach to the completion. Reaction is going to reach to completion. And when I say K is less than 10 to the power of minus 3, it is in very smaller extent. That is consumption, or the reaction will proceed, or reaction will reach to the product in very smaller extent. And when I say K value is lying between this range, it is appreciable concentration, that is to an average, it is okay. The reaction is both total consumption of our reactant as well as the consumption of the product is at an average state. So noting this value is also an important factor. And when we say direction, the value of K is also useful in predicting the direction of the reaction. When I say predicting the direction of the reaction, how do we predict? we have a value Q and K. What is Q and K? We have a value that if Q is less than Kc, if Q is greater than Kc, and if Q is equal to Kc, there is, if it is less than Kc, they say that the reaction is going to proceed from left to right, that is forward direction. And if Q is greater than Kc, we say that it is going to be in reverse direction. But we should know what is Q and what is K, or what is the difference between Q and K. That is very important. Then only we would be able to relate that. So when we talk about difference between your K and Q, K is a constant of a certain reaction when we say it is at equilibrium. K is a constant when we say that if any reaction has reached to equilibrium, there we derive a constant value, or we calculate a constant value, and that is termed as K. And Q is a quotient of activities of your product and reactant at any stage of reaction. It doesn't matter that it should be at equilibrium. It doesn't matter that it should be at equilibrium, because when we try to calculate for K or Q, the formula being used will be same, that is your product by reactant. But the only difference is K value or quotient, that is equilibrium constant, is calculated at equilibrium, and this is at any point of the reaction. That is, activities of your product and reactant can take at any stage. The only difference at equilibrium and at any stage. And how do we calculate, or we can say how do we consider the concentration, or how we are considering the effect of the temperature? That is also an important factor. So in earlier chapters, we would have studied a concept that is called as, or a law, that is your Le Chatelier principle. And Le Chatelier principle is the one which helps us to find out the factors which affects the state of equilibrium, the factor which affects the state of So let us continue. Le Chatelier principle. That is, what are all the factors? Le Chatelier principle suggested that it will affect, or it will be impacting the chemical concentration or equilibrium constant. So when we say Le Chatelier principle, the first factor is if we try to make changes in the concentration, if the concentration is being changed, or in the reactant side if we try to increase, then if the concentration of the reactant is increased, it is important, if the concentration of the reactant is increased, then the reaction favors product. And if the concentration of the product is increased, then the reaction favors backward reaction. In the same way, we have for temperature, there are factors like pressure, volume, catalyst. It all has to be considered. So when we say a catalyst, that is, what is catalyst? It is a catalyst can have the tendency of hastening the process or hastening the approach of equilibrium, but it is very important to know that it will not alter the state of equilibrium. It will not alter the state of equilibrium. And if we say addition of an ion to the equilibrium, having the same ion will make the equilibrium reaction move in a direction to consume that ion. So it depends which direction we are adding the ion. Hence, accordingly, the equilibrium will shift towards the direction in order to absorb that ion. And yes, it's very important to learn about the acid, bases and salt because we have questions in equilibrium related to pH. So when we say acids, when dissolved in water, it produces hydrogen ion, and when base, when it is dissolved in water, it will release hydroxide ion. And one factor which we have is amphoteric. That is important. Amphoteric. What is amphoteric? Any substance if we take or any solution when we are taking, it should have the tendency of behaving both acid and bases. It should have the tendency of behaving as both acid and bases. So knowing talking about acid and bases, do remember acid and bases definitions are given by different concepts, like you can say Lowry concepts we have, Bronsted-Lowry concepts we have. So acid which gives hydrogen ion in solution, we say that, and base which dissolved in water will release hydroxide ions, and once again amphoteric, both which will be behaving as acid and base. So when we go based on the concept of Lewis, the same factor, that is same thing, acids are those which will accept a pair of electron, and base are those that are electron donors. So acid, base and salt, this has been defined by different concepts, but ultimately the meaning will be same. And each, like Bronsted defined acids in its own way, Lowry defined acids in its own way, and basic definition of acid we know sour taste this. So we are having different criteria, but the definition will be same. And when we try to express, that is when we are trying to express hydrogen ion in the concentration of the pH scale, pH of the solution, it is defined as negative of the logarithm or of hydrogen ion concentration, that is minus log of H3O plus. And pH is a measure of acidic or basic strength of any solution. With the help of pH, we are able to measure the acidic, basic, or we can say the strength of the solution. That is, with the help of pH value, we are able to calculate whether the given solution is acidic or it is a neutral solution or it is a basic, and the values are, if the value is up to 7, then we consider it to be an acidic. If it is 7, it is a neutral solution, and if it is above 7, it is considered to be a basic solution. So all solutions having pH 4 to 7, I repeat, all solution having pH 4 to 7, it is considered to be a weak acid. It is considered to be a weak acid. And pH less than 2, if it is less than 2, then we say that it is a strong acid. And if the pH value is equal to 14, it is a strong base. And if the value is 7 to 9, it is a weak base. It is 7 to 9, it is a weak base. So when we are in numericals, they may ask us to calculate the pH value. Hence, we should know the relation, that is log of H3O plus. Acid base, the same thing. In the same way, we can calculate for acid also. And it is important that we should note two definition, or we can say three: protic acid, non-protic acid, and based on the number of protons we have diprotic, triprotic, and so what is protic? Protic acid means those which have protons, the acids which have proton, so we say it as protic acid. And non-protic which has no protons. And diprotic, once again, if the count is increasing, that is, if we say 2 protons, it becomes diprotic. If we say 3 protons, it becomes triprotic. And what is hydrolysis of salt? What is hydrolysis of salt? So interaction of anion and cation of salt with water to produce an acidic or basic solution. Interaction of anion and cation of salt with water to produce acidic or basic solution. We say that it is hydrolysis of salt. And when we say that water is a good solvent and its polar nature will play very important part in dissolving the substances. It dissolves ionic compounds very readily. It will dissolve ionic compounds very readily. And equilibrium constant for reverse reaction. Do remember, for reverse reaction, it will be inverse of the equilibrium constant. So generally when we are saying a chemical equilibrium representation, if we take A and B, it is the reactant, C and D, for example, we can take it as a product. So when I try to calculate the active mass, that is number of moles divided by volume in liters. And addition of any inert gas when we try to add at constant volume, it is also one of the important factor to note it, that if we try to add inert gas at constant volume, it will not have any effect on the equilibrium. And acid, bases and salt, which are nothing but the electrolytes, or we can say conduction of electricity by their aqueous solution, we say that it is because of the presence of anions and cations that is produced by the dissociation. It is produced by the dissociation or ionization of electrolytes in aqueous solution, And when we talk about amount of the salt that has made the solution saturated per liter of the solution, that we say it as solubility of the salt, or we have a concept that is called as solubility factor. So when we are saying the total amount of salt that has made the solution saturated, that is, it cannot dissolve furthermore, which makes the solution saturated, we call it as solubility of the salt. And always remember, for any exothermic reaction, the value of Kc increase with the increase of temperature. Hence, we could conclude that the concentration of the product will also decrease. And for endothermic reaction, heat is being observed for any conversion of reactant into product. So if the temperature during the reaction is being increased, then the reaction will proceed with a greater rate in forward direction. So it is one of the important part of this chapter is we call it as buffer solution. What we say as buffer solution is, whenever we talk, there are many solutions which we said it has a pH value of 7 or 6 or 5, and accordingly we categorize whether it is a acidic solution or a basic solution. So there are some solution which has a constant value of pH, and no matter if you try to add, quantity should be less. If we add either an acid or a base to that solution, if I consider a solution X, and I try to add little amount of acid or little amount of a base, but the pH of that particular solution should not get affected. pH of that particular solution or pH of X solution should remain constant. In that case, if the pH of the solution remains constant, we say that it is a buffer solution. So you can say the solution which has a constant value of pH, even if we try to add acid or a base to it, the pH value does not get affected. Hence, we could say that it is a buffer solution, or simple term to define a solution which will resist the change in hydrogen ion concentration on addition of a small amount of our acid or base. Hence, we say that it is a buffer solution, and by this we come to an end based on the concept of the chapter equilibrium. Once again, I repeat, the weightage of this chapter is 5%. Hence, it is very important to note all the important factors from this chapter which would be helpful to answer the questions. So let us do a test. So if I go to chemistry, we are having test in different chapter, and if you look at the bubble, if it is green, it indicates that the test is already taken. Blue, it is yet to be taken, and R, it is a random test, but there is no hard and fast rule that we need to take the test only once. We can take the test n number of times unless and until we feel that we are aware of each and every answer. Let us take the test. Every day we take first test. Let us take the second test today. So here the question is, specify the unit of equilibrium constant of the following reaction. They have given us the reaction and we need to find out the unit. So if we, let us solve that. The reaction given is Fe3 plus SCN minus, and it is FeSCN 2 plus the aqueous value. So here if we say it is, we have to calculate as per the question, it is equilibrium constant. So as we discussed, equilibrium constant is product by your reactant. So if we say K is equal to product FeSCN 2 plus, it is in aqueous state, by Fe3 plus SCN minus. So it should be no plus here, it is in product. So when they have asked only the unit, hence it is known that it will be moles per liter. This is also moles per liter, and this also moles per liter. So one you can cancel it, and the leftover will be liter mole inverse, because it has to go from numerator to, from denominator to numerator. So the answer should be mole inverse your liter. So option D. Let us save that. Next question. The equilibrium constant for the reaction A plus D is given at 298 Kelvin is 1.1 into 10 to the power of minus 2 at 298 Kelvin and 2 at 373 Kelvin. So they have given us two different K value. And as based on the, we need not sit and solve this question because it would be very simple. if we say that based on the Le Chatelier principle, what is happening? The equilibrium constant value is increasing. Hence, based on the Le Chatelier principle, we learnt a proportionality that if temperature increases, on raising the temperature, forward reaction is favored. So, thus forward reaction, and we all know that forward reaction is an endothermic reaction. Here I focus that for your endothermic and exothermic. It is very important to make a note of it. So when we are talking about exothermic and your endothermic, we should know the factor where it is important. So what we say, for an endothermic reaction, heat is being absorbed, and for the conversion into product, if the temperature is increased, then the reaction will proceed in the forward direction. So it should be option as that, your endothermic reaction. Let us save that and go to next. The dissociation constant of two acids Ha1 and Ha2 are 3 into 10 to the power of minus 4 and 1.8 to the 10 to the power of minus the relative strength. It's very simple. Relative strength we could calculate by the formula as strength of the acid. That is first one they have asked us to consider Ha1 by your Ha2. So it should be vice versa. That is root of your K1 by K2. We could substitute the value as 3 into 10 to the power of minus 4 for K1 and 1.8 into 10 to the power of minus 5. Hence, we can, if we solve this, we get a ratio of 4:1. Let us see if we have. It is fourth option. But to remember, we should focus whether they are asking the ratio of Ha1 to Ha2 or Ha2 to Ha1. So accordingly, the option will change. It's very important to note that both the option is available. If we change the value, that is 1.8 by 3.0, we get 1:4, and if it is 3 by 1.8, it is 4:1. Save that and go to next. The value Ksp of HgCl2 at room temperature is 4 into 10 to the power of minus 15, and the concentration of Cl minus ion in its aqueous solution at the saturation point. It's very important to note at saturation point. So we could calculate the solid value of Ksp. So when we say value of Ksp, that is the equation is HgCl2. It is going to give us Hg2 plus 2Cl minus, and they have given solubility is X. That means Cl minus, it will become is equal to 2x. So your 4x cube is equal to Ksp. That is nothing but the solubility product. And X value, from this we can calculate it as your Ksp by 4 the whole part, 1 by 3 because it is cube. Hence you will get an answer as 1 into 10 to the power of minus 5 mole per liter. 1 into 10 to the power of minus 5. Let us save that and go to next question. It is, if pH of the solution is 5, to this solution sufficient acid is added to lower the pH value. Sufficient acid is added to lower the pH value. So when I say the basic formula or simple formula in order to calculate the pH, it is pH is equal to your H log of minus log of H3O plus ion. So here they have given us the pH. That means we can say H3O plus is equal to 10 to the power of minus 5. And second change, that is on adding acid, what happens? It is H3O plus is equal to 10 to the power of minus 2. And when, but we have to calculate only the increase in value. Increase in H3O plus, it will be obviously increase value when we say it is equal to your 10 to the power of 3, or you can say 1000 times. So our option should be D. Let us save that. Next. A solution was prepared by dissolving this much mole of BaOH2 in 100 ml of solution, and if the base is to ionize completely, the POH value, what will be the change in POH value? So when you write the equation for BaOH twice, it should become as BaOH twice is giving Ba2 plus OH minus. So concentration of BaOH first we have to find out. So when we find out that, they have given us the value as BaOH twice. If I try to calculate, it has given us 0.005. So it to 10, that means it becomes as 0.005. And when I say OH minus concentration, in the same way you can calculate it. And when we calculate the OH minus concentration, once again it is 2 into R 0.005 value. So we get, and POH, the formula is your minus log of POH. Formula says as minus log of OH minus, which is nothing but minus log of 10 to the power of minus 2, hence that we could say it is 2. So it is important to calculate the value of both the concentration, that is your OH and OH minus ions. So answer should be 2. Save and next. Here again they have given us the pH of 0.1 m solution of NH4OH, and that has a dissociation constant. So immediately we can say OH minus, we can calculate it as OH minus is equal to the Kb value into the NH4OH. So when I say NH4OH, this one we know it is 10 to the power of minus 5 into 10 to the power of minus 1, the whole power, or we can write it as root, which will give you 1 into 10 to the power of minus 3. But we need for H plus, that means it is 10 to the power of minus 14 divided by 10 to the power of minus 3. 10 to the power of 14, it is pH is equal to 14 minus that value we have. So we can say it as a minus log of 10 to the power of minus 11, because this value you will get it as 10 to the power of minus 11. Hence if I say pH is equal to, so you will get this value, that is minus log of 10 to the power of minus 11. So we are having 10 to the power of minus 11. So answer should be, let us save that and go to next. To 10 ml of aqueous solution, some strong acid having pH is equal to 2 is mixed with pH 4, the pH of resulting solution. So this is just to 10 ml of aqueous solution, some strong acid having pH is equal to 2 is mixed with pH is equal to 4. pH of your buffer solution will remain almost constant when we try to add small amount of acid or a base. Hence the pH will remain same. We could say that it is the same. So answer should be D. Let us save that and go to next. The pH value of gastric juice in human stomach is about 1.8, and in small intestine it is about 7.8. 8. The pK value of aspirin is 3.5. So what should be aspirin, or what will be aspirin from the given option? So we are given a pKa value as 3.5, and so we try to find out as, like we say, pKa is equal to 3.5. Hence we can say as log of Ka, if I calculate, it becomes 10 to the power of minus 3.5. So Ka of aspirin here, we can say that it is very small. So as such, it will be a weak acid. And in presence of strong acid, that is our gastric juice, whose pH value they have given as 1.8 in stomach, it will be almost unionized. Hence, in small intestine, where medium is slightly alkaline, we can say that it will be ionized. So we could say that since it is ionized in small intestine, and almost it will be unionized in the stomach. So our option B is the right answer. Let us save and go to next. What is the correct relationship between pH of isomolar solution of sodium oxide, pH 1, pH 2 for sodium sulfide? So we should remember certain order of the acidic character. The order says that acidic character increases in the order of H2O less than H2S less than H2SE less than H2TE. So based on this order, if the acidic character will increase in the order. So basic character, if we talk, it will be conjugate of this. Basic character, if we talk, it will be conjugate of it. If we see, it's mentioned here. Conjugate acid has one extra proton, and each conjugate base has one proton less, like for example. So based on it, if we try to figure it out, more the basic character, more will be the pH, and if the basic character is less, so it is inversely. And based on this order, from here the given pH value, the question they have given the pH 1, pH 2, so accordingly match and then rearrange it. Then we rearrange that. Our option A should be pH 1 is greater than pH 2, greater than pH 3, greater than pH 4. So option C should be the right one. Let's save that and go to next. They have given Ksp of MgOH twice is 1 into 10 to the power of minus 12. 0.01 Mg plus will precipitate at the limiting pH of, So they have given simple, they have given us the Ksp value. So when we say MgOH twice, that is MgOH twice is equal to Mg2 plus and OH minus twice, which is equal to 10 to the power of minus 12. So 0.01 and into your OH minus, this is an unknown value. So 10 to the power of minus 12, or you can say 10 to the power of OH value. You could get it as 10 to the power of minus. Just we need to substitute the value. It is given in the question, and final value 10 to the power of Ks, that is minus 12. They have given us the Ksp. So in this, if you try to calculate, the important is we have to calculate the H plus. So we can say your K by your OH minus. This is a fact that it will be 10 to the power of minus 14, and this will be 10 to the power of minus 5 as we have calculated. Hence you will get 10 to the power of minus 9. This you are getting for H plus, but what we need it as pH. So it becomes log of, that is minus log of your H plus. Hence we can say that our pH value will be equal to 9. If we look into the option, it is third one. So let us save that and go to next. pH of m by 100 NaOH solution, they have given pH of m by 100 NaOH. So it's very simple to note that if I try to calculate the ionic product of water, that is formula says as Aw is equal to your H plus and your OH minus. So when I say OH minus, it's equal to your NaOH, sorry, NaOH, and that is equal to 10 to the power of minus 2 m. Hence, if I try to calculate H plus, simple formula, it is your Kw by OH minus, which is equal to 10 to the power of minus 14 divided by 10 to the power of minus 2, that is equal to 10 to the power of minus 12. So if we, this is the value of H plus, but we need pH, and take antilog of this, which will be equal to 12. Option A. And next one is the solubility of A2X3 is Y moles per decimeter, and if the solubility product, what is the solubility product? So it's very simple. As earlier also we did a similar type of question. So solubility product, we have to calculate the KSP. So it is of A2X3. Simple, we can say it as 2y, which is equal to, or if suppose you are assuming it at equilibrium, the equation A2X3, we could write it as 2A3 plus 3x2 minus. So at equilibrium, 2A3 plus, we can say it to be equal to 2y, and 3x2 minus, it is equal to 3y. So when we try to calculate the KSP, that is solubility product, 2y square into 3y cube. If you calculate this, you get it as 108y 108y cube. That is option C. Save that. Let us go to next. Which of the following ionic species has the greatest protons affinity to form stable compound? Greatest proton affinity to form stable compounds. So strongest proton affinity, if we talk, it will be for the species which is the strongest base or whose conjugate acid is the weakest. It is a property, we can say that strongest proton affinity will be for species which is the strongest base or whose conjugate acid is the weakest. So from the given option, we can say that NH3, which is considered to be the weakest acid, and its conjugate, it will be as your NH2 minus. Here in the option, we are provided with the conjugate. Hence, we should know what is the acid for it. So, weakest acid is ammonia, and the conjugate for that is NH2 minus. Hence, this will have the strongest proton affinity. Let us save that and go to next question. The pKa value of weak acid HA is 4.5. The pOH of an aqueous solution, that is buffered solution of HA, in which 50% of acid is ionized. They have given 50% of the acid is ionized. So if I say when an acid is 50% ionized, 50%, that means if I take that acid as HA, you can say it will be equal to A minus. And when we say pH, it becomes, we know the formula as pKa plus log of A minus divided by HA. So that will be nothing but it is your pKa. But this value they have given us 4.5. So if I calculate POH, that is equal to 14 minus your pH. So simple, 14 minus 4.5, because this value is already given to us, and we can say that answer is 9.5. Let us check if it is there in the option. Yes, option D is right. Let us save that, and we have reached to the last question. Let's see and test and check how many questions we have done is right or wrong. So here 14 questions are correct. One maybe while clicking the answer we would have marked the wrong option. So green will indicate that it is the right option. Red color indicates that the answer given is wrong. And if we click on the question, we have the answer as well as the explanation to the question. And by this we come to an end of the session. If we have or if you have any questions, you can reach to us through ask feature which is available here, and also you can reach out to the tutors with the help of Telegram chat application. And if you feel that any chapter you are not confident enough or you need the help of a tutor, you can reach out to Clay6 Management for one-to-one classes from the Clay6 tutor. Thank you, students.